Awake, awake, Zion. Clothe yourself with your strength. Dress in your splendid garments, Jerusalem, the holy city. For the uncircumcised and the unclean will enter you no more. Shake off the dust. Arise. Be enthroned, Jerusalem. Loosen the chains of your neck. Captive daughter of Zion. For thus says Adonai, you were sold for nothing, and you will be redeemed without money. For thus says Adonai Elohim, long ago my people went down to Egypt to live there as aliens, and Ashur oppressed them for no reason. So now, what should I do here, says Adonai, since my people were carried off for nothing? Their oppressors are howling, says Adonai, and my name is always being insulted daily. Therefore my people will know my name. Therefore on that day they will know that I, the one speaking, here I am. How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, proclaiming shalom, bringing good news of good things, announcing salvation, and saying to Zion, your God is king. Listen, you watchmen are raising their voices, shouting for joy together, for they will see before their own eyes Adonai returning to Zion. Break out into joy, sing together, you ruins of Jerusalem, for Adonai has comforted his people. He has redeemed Jerusalem. Adonai has barred his holy name in the sight of every nation, and all the ends of the earth will see the salvation of our God. Leave, get out of here. Don't touch anything unclean. Get out from inside it and be clean. You who carry Adonai's temple equipment, you need not leave in haste. You do not have to flee, for Adonai will go ahead of you, and the God of Israel will also be behind you. See how my servant will succeed. He will be raised up, exalted, highly honored. Just as many were appalled at him because he was so disfigured that he didn't even seem human and simply no longer looked like a man, so now he will startle many nations. Because of him, kings will be speechless, for they will see what they had not been told. They will ponder things they have never heard. Who believes our report? To whom is the arm of Adonai revealed? For before him he grew up like a young plant, like a root out of dry ground. He was not well formed or especially handsome. We saw him, but his appearance did not attract us. People despised and avoided him, a man of pains, well acquitted with illness. Like someone from whom people turn their faces, he was despised. We did not value him. In fact, it was our diseases he bore, our pains from which he suffered. Yet we regarded him as punished, stricken, and afflicted by God. But he was wounded because of our crimes, crushed because of our sins. The disciplining that makes us whole fell on him, and by his bruises we are healed. We all, like sheep, went astray. We turned each one to his own way. Yet Adonai laid on him the guilt of us all. Though mistreated, he was submissive. He did not open his mouth, like a lamb led to be slaughtered, like a sheep silent before his shearers. He did not open his mouth. After forcible arrest and sentencing, he was taken away, and none of his generation protested. His being cut off from the land of the living for the crimes of my people, who deserved the punishment themselves. He was given a grave among the wicked. In his death, he was with a rich man, although he had done no violence and had said nothing deceptive. Yet it pleased Adonai to crush him with illness, to see if he would present himself as a guilt offering. If he does, he will see his offspring, and if he will proclaim, and he will prolong his days, and at his hand Adonai's desire will be accomplished. After this ordeal, he will see satisfaction by his knowing pain and sacrifice. My righteous servant makes many righteous. It is for their sins that he suffered. Therefore I will assign him a share with the great. He will divide the spoil with the mighty, for having exposed himself to death and being counted among the sinners, while actually bearing the sin of many and interceding for the offenders. Sing, barren women, who has never had a child, burst into song, shout for joy. You who have never been in labor, for the deserted wife will have more children than the woman who is living with her husband, says Adonai. Enlarge the space for your tent. Extend the curtains for your dwelling. Do not hold back. Lengthen your cords. Make your tent pegs firm. For you will spread out the right and the left. Your descendants will possess the nations and inhabit the desolated cities. Don't be afraid, for you won't be ashamed. Don't be discouraged, for you won't be disgraced. For you will forget the shame of your youth, no longer remember the dishonor of being widowed. For your husband is your maker. Adonai, Svaot is his name. The Holy One of Israel is your Redeemer. He will be called the God of all the earth. For Adonai has called you back. Like a wife abandoned and grief-stricken, a wife married in her youth cannot be rejected, says your God. Briefly, I abandon you, but with great compassion I am taking you back. I was angry for a moment and hid my face from you, but with everlasting grace I will have compassion on you, says Adonai, your Redeemer. For me this is like Noah's flood. Just as I swore that no flood like Noah would ever again cover the earth, so now I swear that never again will I be angry with you or rebuke you. For the mountains may leave and the hills be removed, but the grace will never leave you. And my covenant of peace will not be removed, says Adonai, who has compassion on you. Storm-ravaged city, unconsoled, I will set your stones in the finest way, lay your foundations with sapphires, make your windows shine with rubies, your gates with garnet, your walls with gemstones. All your children will be taught by Adonai. Your children will have a great peace. In righteousness you will be established, far from the oppression, with nothing to fear, far from ruin, for it will not come near you. Any alliance that forms against you will not be my doing. Whoever tries to form such an alliance will fall because of you. It is I who created the craftsman, who blows on the coals and forges weapons suited for their purpose. I also created the destroyer to work havoc. No weapon made will prevail against you. In court you will refute every accusation. The servants of Adonai will inherit all this. The reward of their righteousness is from me.